up, YouTube? It's your boy Riku the Best, better than the rest, aka the Dark Knight. You call me that. Hey, yo, Gohan, are they good for today?
You're not my dad.
You racist! Coming at you with another Dragon Ball Legends discussion video. We're gonna talk about the top 5 strongest melee units in the game. We're gonna take into consideration main ability, yes. Certain characters' unique ability, which depends on how situational it is. Like, if you have to have a certain character on another team for you to get the boost off, that won't be counted. However, if you need a certain amount of members on your team, that will be counted because you can control that. You can't control whether the opponent has a certain card. You can control what you have on your team. So we're gonna take certain unique abilities into consideration. And with that being said, my social media is gonna be up the top. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. If you have any of those, follow your boy on all 3 platforms. With that being said, this is gonna be from my perspective, my personal opinion. This is what I think. So you guys can feel free to throw your top 5 strongest melee units in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this. Before I get started with mine, and as I've said, it's gonna be my opinion. So the 5 strongest melee units in the game, we're gonna start from number 5, Yamcha. Reason I started from Yamcha is, let's click on him. He's an extreme unit. He's not a sparking unit, surprisingly. And Yamcha's not trash. His defenses are bad, don't get me wrong. His defenses are actually worse than the extreme melee Goku. The blue Goku is actually worse than him, and that's bad. But, however, he makes up for it, not entirely, with this strike attack, okay? He has the similar ability as ranged purple Vegeta and the Sparking Kid Gohan. He buffs his own melee by a certain percentage for a certain amount of time. So in this situation, he gives himself 45% to strike damage for 15 counts, okay? That's an insane boost. 45% to his strike attack, which being 24.09k or 24.09. That's a heavy boost. That's a big boost. I don't know percentages. I don't know how to deal with percentages. It's been a while. But add the 45% to his strike attack in battle, and it's going to be insanely boosted. That's all I'm saying. So keeping that into consideration, he has a very high melee damage with his main ability. Going to number 4 for the highest melee damage in the game. Number 4, I personally chose Final Form Frieza. Now hear me out. Final Form Frieza just came out, of course, in this Imperial Advent banner. His strike attack is 29.12. 29.12. That's a lot, okay? He doesn't buff with his main ability. Of course, he increases his own melee damage with his special attack. If he lands it, his telekinesis gives him increased strike damage as well. Whenever you draw the key card, you don't always draw it though, to be fair. So that's not taken into consideration of how I'm explaining the top 5 melee in the game. But the base strike attack alone is very, very high. I think in the game, it's like 40k if you max out all his stats. You can just see it on the banner. It shows you the max level 1000, 5 stars. His strike attack is 40,000. It's the highest base melee in the game. The second highest base melee in the game behind Broly, I believe. Base. But he's number 4 overall damage-wise for melee for me. Number 4. Number 3. Hear me out. Extreme Goku. Yes, number 3. I felt like his main ability helps him out a lot. His strike attack is 27.73k. So it's lower base melee than Frieza. However, his main ability gives him 35% more strike damage for 20 timer counts. So add that 35% to his 27.73 strike attack. It's going to be higher than Frieza for those 20 counts. So don't knock this Goku. Don't knock this Goku though. His defenses are kind of poor. Not as bad as Yamcha. The only thing Yamcha has, Yamcha and this melee Goku, I want to talk about them for a second, are pretty similar. Yamcha and Goku, they both have high base strike attack. Yamcha has higher blast, way higher blast than the melee Goku, but both lower defenses for blast and melee defense. So it's kind of like Yamcha excels in the blast attack. Yamcha just has higher blast attack, lower defenses, lower attack than his Goku. This Goku has higher attack, extremely lower blast attack. His blast attack is trash, honestly. It's just as bad as his defenses. But Yamcha has poor defenses. I mean, it's to be expected. The guy died by a Cyberman explosion. So EX Goku is number 3. Number 2. This is gonna be funny. Number 2. We're gonna go over to number 2. Strongest melee damage in the game, Broly. His base melee in the game is alone, the number one. Base melee is number one. However, overall damage to just melee attacks, not including cards that you rarely ever get. I include the main ability because they last a lot longer than some of these cards that you may or may not get. Like the key cards, the green cards, like you rarely ever get them unless you have a unit that gives you a second green card and then you get it more often, but it's still rare, however. But yes, his base strike attack, 31.11. That is the highest base melee in the game, but not the number one melee damage in the game. Like I said, his base damage alone puts him at number 2 on my list. Number 2 on my list, okay? Of course, he gets some more melee damage versus Goku units, but that's situational. The opponent has to have Goku. With all these units coming out, you may rarely ever see Goku now, or you can just switch him out and then that effect won't be there. But then again, I still put him below number 1, even with the Goku buff, the 20% to his 31.11 or 31.11. Number 1, he just came out, Sparking Gohan. Sparking Gohan melee, I would say, is the strongest in the game at the moment. It is insane. It's 40k in the game. His base melee is a little bit lower than Final Form Frieza. However, he gives himself 50% defense, 50% to strike damage for 15 counts. He's the strongest melee damage in the game for the same reason Purple Vegeta is the strongest Ki Blast user in the game, because their main abilities buff their respective attack by 50%. Vegeta gets buffs to his Ki Blast by 50%, Ki Gohan gets 50% to his strike attack. That is insane. That's not even counting if Piccolo dies if you have him on your team. He gets an insane boost to melee. 20% to strike damage when you have 3 people out. So he gets an extra 20% when you have 3 people. When you start off with 3 people, he gets an extra 20%. That's a damn 70% boost to his melee. The guy's melee is insane. That's not, if somebody dies, if that one guy, somebody Piccolo, and he dies, 20% is gone. Instead, you get 35% from Piccolo dying. That is insane. But I'm not counting the fact that Piccolo's on your team. The other ability, like I said, the 20% for just having 3 members, I'm counting that because it's not situational. You're always gonna have 3 people. You're gonna get the 20% regardless. Plus the 50% from your main ability. Gohan is the strongest melee in the game from my perspective. He is number 1, Broly's number 2, EX Goku is number 3, Final Form Frieza is number 4, 5 is EX Yamcha. Nappa is not on the list anymore. Pikkon is not on the list anymore. Pikkon is more well-rounded. He's like a jack of all trades, to be fair. So in the comment box below, let me know what you think the top 5 best melee cards in the game are. As I've said, Kid Gohan, Broly, EX Goku, Final Form Frieza, EX Yamcha. Those are the 5 units I have for the strongest strike damage in the game, not counting specific cards, but however, it does include main ability and will include unique ability if it's not situational. Like Broly's where it has to be a Goku on the other team for you to get the boost off. Whereas Gohan, you just only need 3 people. So, with that being said, regardless how easy it is, you will be surprised. Not all teams carry Goku, just saying. Thank you guys for watching. Jana, bye. One thing I forgot to take into consideration was Yamcha and Frieza. I had Yamcha at 5 and Frieza at 4. Frieza had a higher base melee. However, if 45% plus whatever Yamcha's base strike attack is, if that is overall higher than Frieza, and then the order is switched for me. Frieza would be 5, Yamcha would be number 4 instead. Depending on if the percent, like I said, I didn't deal with percentages well. I didn't even do it after the video either. So if that 45% from his main ability plus his base melee versus Frieza's base melee, if it's higher than Frieza, then Frieza's 5, Yamcha's at 4. That's not even counting. I forgot to note it. Forgot to point this out. Yamcha also has the 2nd highest critical in the game. He has more critical than Broly. Broly has the 3rd highest critical in the game, from what I've seen. Yamcha has the 2nd highest critical in the game, with number 1 being Mercenary Tao. Broly is number 3, Chaozu's after that, and maybe somebody else. But I forgot to take critical into consideration as far as melee damage for both characters, so I would most likely put my Yamcha over Frieza if that's the case. Keep in mind, this is only my opinion, of course. Let me know what your top 5 strongest melee units are in the game as of now. I would do one for every update because it will change.